Everyone. I'm here to talk about the Leo new moon happening tomorrow on the 4th in the morning. And the astrology right now, like the energy is just like so stacked. And I personally have been feeling like just so much energy, like so much electrical energy. And I've also been noticing so much coming to the surface, like so much in the outer world and even in my own inner world. Lots of shadows coming to the surface, corruption. And I think that this is still, we've got Uranus conjunct Algol still. I think it's partially a result of that. And then also we have Chiron retrograde in Aries, which is asking us to really heal these wounds, that might be coming up when we're seeing this stuff. So for me personally, something I've been noticing over the past few months, but it feels really magnified right now, is just finding my voice again. I feel like I've been using my voice a lot for a while, but there's this new up-leveling of really sticking to my intuition and trusting it, and just it's almost like allowing spirit to speak through me when I'm voicing my truth, if that makes sense. Like, it is really a deep truth. And I've had to have some confrontations in my life where this has come up, and a lot of times we're afraid of confrontation, but it's actually gone pretty smoothly because I have been speaking from my heart and not so much from my head or my emotions or my stories. It's more like, and this is Uranus and Algol again, like Algol is the eye of Medusa. This is how I see it. This is what I see. You don't necessarily have to see how I see, but in my heart, in my gut, this is what I see happening, So it's felt really good to be able to speak from that place, because I feel like in the past, and I'm sure, I know I still do this too, where I'll have, like we build up stories around things, or we let things get too emotionally charged, and Uranus is more detached, and we're entering this Aquarian age. We've got Pluto in Aquarius right now, which can be more detached and see things from a higher perspective and not be so emotionally attached to whatever it is that we're voicing or need to talk about. So this Leo new moon really does feel like an invitation to begin again with being centered in the heart. And really just truly shining as you. What else? We've got a Venus gate the day after the new moon on the 5th. This is the first Venus gate since Venus began her ascent out of the underworld. So Venus gate is when Venus and the moon conjunct. And this one in particular is conjunct Medusa and Mercury too. So this is extra energy of being able to see beneath the surface and receive psychic information. I was given an image of just like a person sitting on the ground, like very, very grounded, and just this light, like all of this information and light pouring in through their body into the earth. And it feels like such an integration. And it's so appropriate because this Venus gate is in the root chakra too. So with all of this electrical energy, all of this information coming through, I feel like I say this in every single reading now, because this is just the times we're moving into. It's so important to ground and to take breaks and to get in touch with nature and allow ourselves to integrate. And I will say, I think we are integrating faster and faster and faster. Our capacity to take in information and to transmute things feels like it's accelerating and expanding. And I think that is a theme of the Aquarian age. We also have Mercury retrograde. He's actually retrograde August 6th until the 29th. And this is conjunct Atlantis. And what's been coming up in my awareness around this is that there's a big movement happening in big tech. A lot of the people, mostly men, who own these big tech companies and are part of a group referred to as the PayPal Mafia. You can look it up on Wikipedia. It's a lot of these Silicon Valley guys. They're making a major shift politically. So a lot of them used to be more on the left, and now they're starting to see a lot of things they don't like about how government is getting involved in technology and wants to regulate it, including censorship. And a lot of them are making a shift to the right and deciding to back Trump, which is really interesting. It seems like, I think it's been happening since before the assassination attempt, but now it feels more highlighted for some reason. And so something I find really interesting astrologically is how Pluto is moving from Capricorn to Aquarius. And Pluto is kind of like what's hidden. And if you think about it, our government has been led and funded by major corporations, a lot of them dealing with earth-based products like oil, pharmaceuticals, which are a byproduct of petroleum production. And now the big industry is tech. This is the new big industry and where a lot of opportunities are. And so now it seems like this, I'm starting to get chills. It seems like this power shift, not that we won't still, there won't still be some power in those earthly resources. Of course, like there's a lot of that stuff we're always going to need, but there's a major power shift moving from earth-based resources to tech. And therefore, the government, these candidates take funding from different donors. And a lot of times the biggest donors are going to be the biggest corporations, right? So now it's moving to tech. And now the tech people seem to want more freedom of speech, less regulation. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that it seems like, they're in California, and California has changed a lot underneath the power structures we have now, like ever since 2020. And I think a lot of them are not really liking those shifts. And so it seems like they're making this move because they're saying like, we don't like what we're seeing, like it needs to change. So you'll notice, I don't know, Elon Musk is like one of the most famous tech people. He said he wants to back Trump now, but there's a lot of others as well that are less well known, but have a lot of money. So that is really interesting politically. And on the same note, or a similar note, Saturn is squaring Jupiter. So we're going to be in this square, I think until, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember now. I think it might be till the end of the year or until next year. So what this is doing is it's reactivating this, or echoing the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction we had on the winter solstice of 2020. And a lot of people felt like this was our shift into the Aquarian age, as that conjunction happened at 0 degrees Aquarius. And now we've got Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius. But what this is, Jupiter's expansion, it's the new, whenever Saturn and Jupiter conjunct, classically, like in ancient times, it's said that that's when a new rulership takes place. So you can think about the myths of Saturn and Jupiter, Kronos and Zeus, you know? And so when they come into a square, it's a push-pull energy. So you know how it is with astrology. It's always like 2 steps forward, 1 step back with these cycles, because that's how it maintains a spiral. It can't just always go forward. So Jupiter is in Gemini, Saturn is in Pisces. This is a really interesting kind of energy, but Jupiter's asking us to open our minds and to expand into the new. It's expanding on data. This might be part of why we're taking in so much information. And Saturn in Pisces is about having a spiritual discipline and also setting boundaries. So Jupiter, Jupiter in Gemini could be kind of likely to be almost too open. And Saturn in Pisces is saying, okay, but you need to know what your truth is in this whole ocean. And it's also kind of opening as well, because it's like your duty is to connect with the all. But there's this need for boundaries as well, so that you don't just go crazy, to be honest. But yeah, so Jupiter and Saturn are squaring. This had activated Joe Biden's chart when he dropped out of the race. And it's actually, I was talking about how RFK is having a Jupiter return, but I just also noticed that Saturn is squaring his Jupiter return. So I think a lot of people see him as a new possibility, a new candidate, but there is still this pull of the old, of the Saturn energy that is like, no, we can't go forward too fast. And so to me, it appears, I'm not gonna get into all the details because it's just a little overwhelming for this reading, but to me it does appear that right now anyway, that we may still be relying on this 2-party system for this election. But we'll see. You never know. What else? I think that's about all I had for the astrological transits. It's a lot. Oh, the other thing that's just kind of wild too is how close we are to the 8-8 portal, or what people refer to as the Lion's Gate portal, in an 8 year. So this is all about power dynamics, like reclaiming your power and standing in your truth, and we're seeing it play out. If you see the 8 on its side, you see that infinity symbol, and I kind of see these 2 hands like pulling on the loops, like there's this tension right now. And it's that tension that helps us create the new. So it can feel like a lot, but in the end, there are things that will be rebirthed, from all of this. So I want to pull a couple of cards for this Venus Gate. I always love to pull from my Rose deck by Rebecca Campbell, and I was feeling Mary Magdalene as well, so I pulled out my Magdalene Rose Oracle by Elaine Kalila. Okay, let's see. A card for this Venus Gate in Virgo. And this is the Leo meta goddess that's getting transformed through these Venus gates, so the Leo energy, okay, I'm sorry, I'm going on a little tangent. The Leo energy is so important also because the North Node of the United States is in Leo. So this is no wonder we're so in focus, right? In an 8 year, I associate that with Leo. Because I just see like the strength card, and it's all about power. It feels like in the Lionsgate portal, it feels like lion energy to me. So this is our inner lion being transformed. And so what are we reclaiming this gate? After the rain, silver lining, relief, hope, mercy. It's over, acceptance. Wow. This does feel like the emergence from the underworld. And what I'm hearing is like there's echoes. There's always echoes after we go through something, but it's already passed. So it feels as though we're experiencing the echoes of what has passed, and some are grasping to hold on. Others are ready to go and move forward. And this is encouraging us to just know that that part is over. Whatever it is that you've been facing, it's time to move forward. Let's see what Magdalene has to say about this Venus gate. Oh, wow, here's rose gold feminine. This reminds me, this is the Vesica Pisces, but it reminds me of that, hopefully you can see it okay, of that infinity loop I was being shown. So pretty. I'm going to read from the book here. 19, rose gold feminine. And 19 is like the beginning and the end of a cycle. Where are you at? Here we go. I'm the rose gold feminine, the fourth ray. I'm the double helix DNA Mobius strip, undulating rose gold light dancing in your blood. I'm the resonance of stars exploding in the universe out of pure love. I'm the resonance of raindrops glinting, creating fractals of sweet, fragrant light. I am the presence of Yeshua and Magdalene in sacred union, awakening the divine heart within the human heart. I am the marriage of spiritual and human love, a devotional offering of the deepest intimacy possible. I soften and open. I am subtle, yet so powerful, graceful as a swan. I am here so you can remember to have an unshielded, open heart, available, present, and profoundly connected to the majesty of love. I am intimate, and I call all who come near me to resonate in the frequency and harmonic of unconditional love. I activate 144 streams of love coming together in the holy bridal chamber of your heart. That is beautiful and so perfect for this Leo season too. Leo rules the heart, and this really does kind of reiterate that image I was getting of this light pouring through our bodies and really connecting heaven and earth. And the other thing that really strikes me when I read this transmission is how the root chakra is all about safety, right? And we have to feel safe to stand in our truth. And it feels like that's the reclamation that's being invited to happen at this Venus gate, is to feel safe, to stand in your truth and be in your heart and be open-hearted and still be you. And this is like the Saturn in Pisces energy as well. I got out, I wanted to ask about Saturn square Jupiter. I was going to pull an Egyptian god for this one, because that was one of the things that the Egyptians followed, was those Saturn-Jupiter transits. So what Egyptian god wants to come through for this Saturn-Jupiter square? Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm hearing changing of power. Heka, alchemical force. Oh, that's so perfect. Oh, I wish I had this quote right now from the Hermetic Tradition by Julius Evola. He talks about how Saturn challenges Jupiter to bring forth. It's something about, I'll try to it's not a paraphrase even, but I'll try to translate what I remember about it. It's about how that tension of Saturn and Jupiter really brings forth our spiritual self, our spiritual light, our higher truth. And this also reminds me that what I've been noticing that I think is so cool about astrology, it just, when I look at it, a lot of times I just see it as so set up by somebody. like I'm like, oh, how convenient, this transit's happening and then that one's happening. That seems beneficial for us. And I really do believe all these transits are beneficial, even when there's squares and there's oppositions and there's tension. So something that I think is really cool is how Jupiter's moving through Gemini. And that is opening us up, opening our minds to take in different perspectives. And Jupiter is about truth, and it's more of an inner planet. So it's about finding our inner truth, exploring and finding our inner truth. And what's so cool is that next Uranus will enter Gemini. And I meant to look at when that is. I'm sorry, I don't have a date for that, but it can't be, I don't, it might be sometime next year, because I think Uranus is going to go retrograde. So, but what's so cool is that Jupiter is inviting us to find our inner truth. And once Uranus moves into Gemini, that will be about exploring the higher truths. So it's such a cool initiation for us to go in these steps, I feel like. And I feel like the Saturn-Jupiter square and everything that's happening on the center stage in the world is also a part of this evolution and a part of us observing power dynamics and rediscovering our own power, figuring out how we want to relate with power, how we want to relate with government, how we want to vote with our dollars even. It's really interesting. So yeah. And look, there's that like DNA strip again. That's the symbol for right here. I believe that's a symbol for Heka, which is magic, alchemy. And these arms facing up. Oh gosh. I don't want to misquote this. I might look in the book and see if it says what it is. You know, we have the Merkaba. I think that's the Ka. Which is the spirit. See, I don't want to get this wrong. Heka is the god of magic and also of healing medicine. Yeah, it's like the caduceus of Mercury as well. The universe was created thanks to magic, and life also depends on it. He is a god who has no origins. His name means the first work. Heka reveals himself in feelings of human beings and expresses himself in their language. He offers determination in order to dominate the capacity to create. I'm going to repeat that. He offers determination in order to dominate, and that doesn't really make sense. In order to dominate and capacity to create. The alchemist purifies base and raw materials to turn them into gold, giving you vitality, energy, magnetism, and strength at all levels. He allows you to successfully develop your accomplishments. He has appeared to you to give you the ability to control in any direction or to dominate all the elements. So, he offers determination in order to dominate and the capacity to create. I get it now. Sorry, I was reading that funny. Yeah, so this is about the word dominate. Oh boy, that's interesting. That word kind of triggers me. To dominate the elements, because I'm always talking about working with the elements. That feels more like natural order, natural law. This is just me being picky over words, but I talk about this all the time. Like, how can we work with these elements to help direct the energies for us and to flow with them? And for me, what comes up is water, how powerful water is, because what I'm finding in life is that it's actually not so much about controlling everything and more about opening that feminine and surrendering, asking for divine assistance. And I think the human part is very much about following divine guidance, following divine will, and getting clear on what your intention is. And so sometimes you don't even want to be too specific. You want to leave space for the divine to work with you to make that marriage happen, where You can really tap into your heart and feel into what is it that you want to feel, and open up to receive it. Open up to receive it and to create it in your life. With that assistance, though, it's such a balancing act. And I'm going to see if anything else wants to come up for this new moon. I guess the new moon is the time to set those intentions, right? I always forget the really basic stuff. I get out on all these tangents and I forget to come back to the basics sometimes. Okay, so what is this new moon inviting us? What's the invitation with this new moon? Trust. Oh, I love it. I love it. You just have to trust the divine and trust where you know, like that you're following your heart, your inner light. Trust your inner light. And one more from my Atlantis deck. I want to ask about, oh wow, it's interesting. I'm hearing the faction of tech. I always call them tech bros. So I'm hearing the faction of tech bros. Let's see what the role is of this faction. And I have my Atlantis deck because the U.S.'s Algol is conjunct Atlantis. Atlantis is really important with the U.S.'s transformation through this, through its Pluto return and through everything we're going through right now. Because right now, in a way, is a recapitulation of Atlantis. It was, the U.S. was started by, essentially by Freemasons. And the spirit of, not the spirit, well, it was a spirit of, but also the man, Sir Francis Bacon, was largely behind it. And he wrote a book called The New Atlantis that was about rediscovering these old civilizations on this continent. I feel like it's referring to Mexico. And imagining a utopia that would be like Atlantis. It refers to like how they use the elements for technology. And so these tech guys feel like a faction from the old Atlantis. And we're seeing a recapitulation of how are we going to use technology? How are they going to play into this new age and this new civilization that's being rebirthed? So let's pull a card for them from the Atlantis deck. Wow. Woo, woo. This is very electrical. Justice. Truth prevails in the end. The sword of truth. Wow. I have to pull, I feel like I want another card here. Oh, in the crystal bed. Healing. Miracles. Clearing. So it feels like these guys are trying to help clear a lot of karma from that time. And they're also, I listened to an interview with, oh gosh, what's his name? It's like it's the latest interview with Tucker Carlson, and it's about this tech switch. In fact, I was aware of this tech switch of funding politically before this interview came out, and I was like, all right, he's on top of it. But he talks to this guy, and they're talking about AI, and he had a really incredible story about how he used AI to help solve the mystery of his chronic illness he'd been struggling with for years. He went to several doctors. He spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to figure out what was going on with him. And so he finally just decided, I'm going to create an AI that can diagnose me. So he collected all these data sets and put his symptoms through, and he actually found the solution. So this was an example of how it can be used for good. And how we can use it as a tool, because a lot of the conversation is about how do we use this as a tool and not be used by it, you know. And there's a lot of fear around AI as well, and a lot of that is, you know, in movies and things, and there is a shadow side, but there's these guys are trying to do good things with it. And this is one reason they don't want it regulated by the government, because they feel the government always uses technologies for war and to censor people and to, for agendas. So this is why it's important for them to not have this regulation and to make that switch. And I realize that might be controversial, but what I've been hearing from Spirit for a while around AI is how important it is to have good people involved in it, because the system is a product of its input. So if we have people giving it valuable information, helpful information, it will be a helpful tool. If it's just left behind to people who want to use it for darker forces, then that's what it will be, and Susan says, I just had a beautiful experience with AI after having a lot of concerns about it. See, that's awesome. It's just like magic. This god Heka coming through. Magic can be used for dark or light. It's a tool. And it's the same with AI. So I feel like we really need to root on these people who want to do good things with it. And I realize that is a touchy subject as well, if they want to get behind Donald Trump, and a lot of people don't like him. So, but it's interesting. It feels like I'm seeing this card again, trust. We just have to trust the process of where things go. And we need to understand power dynamics. I think we're getting a really big revelation of how just feels like a broken record, but how the power has not been in the people's hands for a while. And so we just kind of have to go with the flow and see how things play out. But there's justice and there's healing. It feels like we're going to come into this Atlantis rising energy. So if we just stay true to our heart and true to our true selves. And this reminds me of Chiron as well, with Chiron being retrograde. Everybody's at a different cycle with Chiron in different places. And those of us who feel like we've got this, like we can help other people when they come to us, So just that, having that open heart, realizing everybody's going through something. You never know what it is, So, and Susan's saying it learns by how it's taught. It looks like the inside of the imaginary bridge temple, the healing table. Love that card. Oh, this deck is Atlantis Oracle cards by Marie Alita. I had to order this from the publishing company in Australia. Actually, that's the only place you can get it. Animal Dreaming Publishing. It was my friend Allison Atlantis who was looking for it. And I was like, I need that deck. She finally figured out we could just get it from that company. But I absolutely love it. So, yeah. Exciting times, tumultuous times. Just try to keep that Uranian observer lens on when you're looking at things you can't control, and be super grounded in your own life, right? That feels good to me. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Leo new moon, and I'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.